Okay. So give me a thumbs up when you've had a chance to see which group your child will be in. We will send this out to you too, so that you have it on your computer and you'll be able to look at it more. Okay. So the drop off will be like summer for those of you who are here with us during the summer. Children's temperature needs to be taken at home before you leave for school. If there's any temperature before they leave, we don't want them coming in our front gate. So please, everyone, take your child's temperature each morning before you come in. Once you get to school, we will be taking temperature again.
That also includes adult temperature. Just be taking your temperature. We started that in the summer. We started that in the summer. Adults, parents, whoever, caregiver, whoever is bringing your child should also do a temperature check.
Sorry, we still can't hear. Sorry.
We can't hear you, yeah.
Okay, parents who bring their children to school or caregivers.
I think you have to sit where Kathy's sitting.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll say it.
Okay, so caregivers, parents who bring their children into school should also check their temperature before leaving the house. What we're trying to avoid is anyone coming in here with a temperature. We're going to recheck your child, but we ask that you all check it before you leave.
And just to clarify, I assume a temp is considered to be anything below or above, 100.4 for
Correct.
an abundance of clarity. Okay, so 100.4.
Yeah, and I believe it says that in our document that we sent out.
Okay.
Yeah. Want to talk about that?
Sure. I was doing the drop-offs in the morning during the summer, and I have to say it was a fantastic job because I got to greet everyone in the morning. When you come in through the gate, at the very most, there can only be 2 families inside at a time. There are circles over by a planter. The people who are waiting stand on the circles. If you're the first one to come in, you come up. I have 2 sets of footprints. And actually, those are for children. So if you're bringing 2 children up, they stand on those footprints. And you stand 6 feet back from me behind. There's a barrier, a plexiglass barrier. I would appreciate it so much if you were 6 feet from that barrier. And then I come around, I take your child's temperature. Before that, I hand sanitize my hands. And I put an alcohol wipe all over the touchless thermometer. And then I reach around, I take your child's temperature. I try to make it very non-threatening, but I am wearing a mask and I am wielding a thermometer. So if you can let your child know what's going to be happening, maybe I'll also have Kathy take a picture of me holding a thermometer so you can say to your child, this is who's going to be taking your temperature as you come into school.
It does say to prepare for a drop-off to take a little bit more time than usual. We open at 7:30 and anytime up until 9 o'clock you may come in. For the families that have a 9 to 2 schedule, you may come to school between 8:50 and 9:10, and it will be the same process for you. So if there's somebody waiting outside the gate, you will stand in line outside the gate.
And there's X's on the cement 6 feet apart.
Yeah. Whoever is taking the child in or checking children, bringing children in and taking their temperature, they will be signing your child in. Whoever is taking your child out to you at the end of the day will be the person signing your child out. So you do not need to worry about the sign in and out. The staff here will do that for you.
The other thing I do when you bring your child in is I assess their health. And, I usually ask them, how are you, or anything like that. But as I'm talking to them, I'm going down from the top of their head all the way down to see if I see anything that just seems off. You can really help me, because it's my worst nightmare to have to turn a child away at that point. It's going to have an effect on the child. So if your child has any new symptoms, runny nose, sneezing, or whatever, please keep them home until you can get a doctor to approve you bringing them into school, because that's going to be our policy if children have symptoms. We are not going to be able to just take your word for it that it's not COVID. We need a doctor to tell us that there are symptoms that could be the same symptoms of COVID, and they're going to be okay to come to school only with the doctor's approval.
So here is the daily intake questions. This is posted on a sign outside where you are bringing your child in to school. And we ask that you read through this and make sure that you answer no to everything.
A lot of people will walk in and say to me, I can answer all of your questions no. And that's really helpful, because then I don't have to ask you. But please make sure that you're aware of what the questions are. That medication question is huge. That's very big. If you had to give your child any type of medication, please let us know.
This document is also in the protocol document, so you can refer to it.
On
So-
that last page, what were the asterisked items noting?
Sure. On the first page or the second?
Oh, there, I see the answer now on the second page. Thank you.
Healthcare, yeah. Okay. So pickup. When you arrive at San Anselmo Preschool to pick up your child, you will call the number that's listed and let us know that you're here. Then somebody will get your child and bring them out to you. If you arrive and there's a parent standing outside the gate waiting, they have probably already called the preschool, so you don't have to call. You just need to wait, and the staff member will see you as they bring out the other person's child. Meals and snacks. We will have the children eating far enough apart to the best of our ability. We do a lot of hand washing before and after eating, and every time a finger goes in the nose, anytime, we're just constantly washing hands, and we have hand sanitizers here for the kids. We're getting really good at hand washing. We're asking you to pack a lunch and 2 snacks. And yeah, and the 9 to 2 pod only needs to bring 1 snack. But we are not providing snacks this year. We're not doing shared food. So make sure that you have enough. And children who are here for the full day will actually have a morning snack time, lunch time, an afternoon snack time, and then a late lunch time. So they actually will be eating 4 distinct times out of their lunchbox. And they typically can get food from their lunch when they're hungry and need to. All the children will eat their lunch with their pod in their assigned classroom or outdoors with their pod. So you will want to make sure that you have lunch and snacks, plenty of snacks to plenty of food to keep your kid happy all day long. If your child is napping, you will want to bring a sleeping bag and make sure that you have your child's name on the label. 2 changes of clothes and extra shoes. What we're finding works really well is if you can find a plastic bin to put those in. They're easy. They're easier to keep clean. They're easy to wipe off. They're easy to keep contained, and
You might want to wait until your teacher comes up with exactly what size they want all that in, and I'll ask them to communicate with you at some point between now and the beginning of school, hopefully earlier, so you have some time to do it, because it would be nice to have it be consistent and be able to fit in whatever cubby space they have in their room.
And then we've always asked this, but we are really asking this of you now. Toys from home, please leave them in the car or at home. We have plenty of toys for the kids to play with here. And we disinfect the toys after they get used, and we really want to keep things from home at home, other than food and snacks. The nappers are all going to be in the Duncan Hall pod, and they will stay together. They will be spaced at least 6 feet apart, and we will send sleeping bags home every Friday to be washed. The children who are not napping will have a resting blanket, which we provide. That will come home with you on Fridays as well, and that needs to be laundered and brought back on Monday. And the napping and the resting is happening exclusively in the classroom with your pod. Children must stay home when they're sick. If a child has a new cough or other illness symptoms, they may not come to school, even if they have no fever. This is information that we took from Marin County Public Health Department. We took from licensing, we took from Marin Recovers. We've gathered all this information from a lot of different sources. So this is something that's really, we're heading into cold and flu season, so please keep your kids home when they're at the start of a cold, when they,
Unless the doctors know they have to come home, even if it's the middle of a cold, unless you get something saying it's.
unless, Elizabeth was saying, unless you have a doctor's note, you need to keep them home even in the middle of a cold, until we hear that it's nothing more.
I do want to just give you a little bit of really good statistics, which is the health department did tell us of all the testing they're doing of people with symptoms, only 80%, no, excuse me, only 20% of that group turns out to actually have COVID. The other 80% have symptoms of other things like strep throat or the common cold or the flu. Okay. So I want to talk with you about the tuition policy. You probably all received your first bill. We bill on or around the 1st of the month, and that tuition is due by the 20th of the month before. So in other words, September tuition is billed August 1st. And actually, because there's a week in August, a little bit more than a week, there's 6 days in August, we billed for that portion and September at the very beginning of August. At the very beginning of September, we'll be billing for October. If for some reason you can't pay your bill on time, it's really important that you connect with either myself or Kathy so that there's been a communication, because otherwise there's a charge that goes on your bill. I can't guarantee you that even if you communicate with us, there wouldn't be, but that's the only way that we could negotiate a late charge on your bill. You have to let us know ahead of time, not after the fact. Parent participation this year, we cut our requirement to only 10 hours. And that's because it's going to be a little bit more challenging to get you in to do things, but it will not be impossible. For instance, we're going to be ordering new Tambark soon, and we'll need to get that in, and we'll need to do that on a weekend. So there's definitely going to be ways that you can help us. As a matter of fact, we're going to be putting new soil into all of the garden areas, and we'd really love to start a friendship garden. So if you want to bring something in to put in the garden and have your child plant it, that's something we can do. If there's an emergency closure for any reason, we let you know through text, through emails, and if we haven't heard something back from you in those 2 ways, we'll start also an emergency phone tree. An emergency closure could be because of flooding. It could be because we lose power in the middle of the day. If we lose power and they can't assure us that it's going to be on in an hour or so, we have to start having children picked up because that's a licensing requirement. So those are things that are important for you to know. And also it does say on our contract, if there is an emergency closure for some reason, we cannot refund tuition for that. We have a medication policy where we've changed it a little bit because all medication used to be stored in the middle room, but now all medication are stored in the different pods. So there are lock boxes in the pods or between 2 pods. And if you are going to send your child here to school with any type of medication, it's absolutely important, and that's for inhalers, any type of, what's the shot? Epinephrine, what's EpiPen. EpiPens or anything like that, they need to be in the original bottle that they were prescribed in. And we need to be able to get a lot of information off of that label because we have to fill out forms for the state on any medication that we give to children. So if you want to, you can have the pharmacy put it in 2 different bottles, but you do need to remember when the medication is done, you must take the medication away. That is not true of inhalers. If your child has asthma, we can keep an inhaler here, and there's a different form that we have you fill out, and then we can do that as an as-needed basis. So that does not have to go home at the end of the course, but anything like amoxicillin or anything like that, once your child's done with the course, you have to come and pick it up and take it home. Labeling. Label everything. It's probably not going to be as challenging as it is when we operate in a different way because your kids, your children's things are just going to be in that one room. But you'd be surprised how much it makes our job easier when you label everything. That means socks, the bottom of socks, the inside of shoes or the bottom of shoes, shirts, underwear, everything, please label. And script. We want you to continue to participate in script. We are no longer requiring it. It's our COVID gift to you. And but that doesn't mean that you can't really support this school in a very meaningful way by picking up a United card. If you shop at United and constantly scanning it, if you shop at Good Earth, we have a Good Earth card. You can buy gift cards through us. Kathy still intends on ordering them, and we have a little bit on hand here too. So don't give up on script. It still is going to help us very much.
I had sent out the parent handbook in the email to all of you. Let me know if anybody wishes to have a hard copy. It's also going to be up on our website today, tomorrow at the latest. So it will always be there for you to refer to. In the back of the parent handbook are licensing forms, and those will need to be completed. If you are a new family to us, those need to be completed on your first day. So you may bring those in with you on the 24th when you're coming in for your first day of school. If you need hard copies, let us know and we will get those to you. If you have been with us in the past, we have your licensing forms. There are a couple that we like to have updated. The ID emergency contact form is one of those. And so if you could complete that for us and the contract as well. We will be going around today and we're going to video record the teachers in their classrooms as they're cleaning and setting up. And we're going to put together a little video to send to you because a lot of you have never seen us before. and don't know what we look like. And so we want to make sure that you can share that with your child so that they will be familiar. You'll have whose pod they're in, you'll be able to look at the teachers, and it'll be a little bit of familiarity to them when they start. But the staff is also sending in their bios, and we will get that out to you as soon as we possibly can. It just gives you a little bit more background and information on the teachers and their experience and things that they love to do outside of school and so on. We both got script. And now we're going to
Wait,
turn.
there was one other thing.
I'm going to ask all of you a very big favor, and I think it'll help us all immensely. When you drop your children off and you walk up to your child's pod, it's very important that you stand back from that room. It's going to be very hard for some of you new parents to do that, and certainly on the first day. I think it might be challenging, but if you can do it past then, it's really going to help us. If somebody is, it's more likely that an adult is going to bring this into this school, and that's probably how it's going to pass too. So we really want you away from the pod because, and this is something we were told by Health and Human Services, the health department, is that if it's a parent who has COVID, you've tested positive for COVID, that's a incidental exposure. I don't believe that that's true if you've been standing at the door and projecting into the classroom, but I think that would be true if everybody was standing outside of the classroom. So I think it's really important, and it's so hard for teachers to say to you because they don't want to. They want you to be able to come into their classrooms, they want to hug you, they want to hug your kids, which is still happening, and they don't want to say to you, could you back up just a little bit? So please, if you could just give space between you and the entrance of the pods.
Elizabeth, can I make a suggestion for that? Do you want to put like a marker outside
Yeah,
each
we're going
classroom?
to. We are going to, we're going to put a piece of tape 6 feet from
Cool.
the others. Thank you.
So we are ready to go into questions and answers. If you have a question and just want to bring it up, we're on 2 screens here on my computer now, so it's going to be hard for me to see everybody. But if somebody speaks up with a question that you might have,
You can raise your hand too. Get unmuted.
Piper Wingfield's mom.
Yeah, thank you. As a new family, typically starting a new school, I know the kids maybe will get an hour to come in and see the new environment. With the current situation, I'm assuming that that's not possible, but for these new kids who are maybe moving from one school to the next, or this will be their first time stepping on your campus, is there anything we can do to prepare them? Should we drive them by the school on a weekend? I mean, anything that we can do to help ease their knowledge of this new environment that they're going to be coming into? Because,
If you
she's been
come
home with
into
mom
the
and
back
dad for 5
courtyard,
months.
if you drive by the school and you go around, you make you drive by the school on Ross, make a left on Kensington, and then make another left on Mariposa, park and come into the back of the school, you can see in the windows and you can really see the classroom. So you could do that on a weekend. And then also we're going to send you the videos.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So for students who've been there before and maybe know some of the other teachers who aren't their pod teacher, how have you been managing, their interactions with other teachers? Are they not allowed to interact with them, or how does that work?
They may see them depending on where their pod classroom is. If they're in Duncan Hall, they may see the other teachers when it's their turn out on the playground, and they can wave at them through the door and things like that. We are really doing our best to limit exposure to the teachers, to the kids, to everybody. So They will see them, but they're not going to have the same interaction that they've had in the past with them. But there definitely will be opportunities where they're seeing teachers.
Kathy, if a child goes from a napper to a non-napper during the school year, because it is, you know, they do gain a lot of age in that time frame, do they have to switch pods? Or, I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but
We, to the best of our ability, are going to keep the kids together.
yeah.
And we had this summer, we had one child in that pod that was not a napper, and they just had quiet things to do in
Okay.
the classroom while the kids were sleeping.
Great. Okay.
And I
It's a
think,
big room.
yeah, I think that's something we'll just have to cross as we get to it.
Okay.
Do you have any staffing changes this year?
One. We had Lauren Makoko resign, and we have hired a new teacher, Denise Lavaroni, who has worked in this community for quite some time. She's worked at Caterpillar Academy for the last few years. We feel really fortunate to have her because I think she's going to have known some of our children too who have come to us from there. So I feel like that was a really, it was very sad to lose Lauren, but I feel like we are very fortunate to have gotten Denise Lavaroni.
I had a quick question just on your expectations for how we are maintaining these pods outside of the school environment. Do you have expectations for how we're handling that socially in our own world? And could you just provide some clarification there?
Hi. There's a lot of that in the protocol. There's a sign on our fence that says it also. And who knows, it may loosen up after maybe 4 months or so, but right now we're asking everyone who is part of San Anselmo Preschool to take it very seriously and to let us know if you are flying to places. We might ask you to quarantine for a while to make sure that you're aware of exposures, to be very cautious. I mean, because what you've done is you have opened up your circle. And if you are not being cautious in other ways, you are definitely probably beyond the cohort that public health is saying is safe. So we said this in the summer when we were a group of 30, and now as a group of 48, you know, we can't police you. But I think it was Michael Scaff's wife, Thea, who said a very nice plea to the other people at our last Zoom meeting, which is, we'll do our best and practice as much caution as possible. And, you know, please, if everyone does that, it's showing so much respect for each other too, and so appreciated. And the staff and the teachers.
What about spring break? I noticed on the calendar when I was looking through sort of a look ahead for 2021 that there wasn't a scheduled spring break for this year.
Okay, Ms. Simpson.
So at this moment in time, we don't know about spring break. We are asking our teachers to not take vacation time when the school is open. So during the winter break, when we're closed, that's going to be part of their vacation time. They have asked the board if the preschool could be closed for spring break, and that's going to the board at tonight's board meeting. We don't know what the answer is going to be. If they do say we can close, then we will be closed for that week. What we've done in the past is we've been able to have the teachers only had to work half of winter break and half of spring break. We can't do that now because we have pods and we're not mixing the kids. So it would require that both teachers are working, and that is a long stretch of time for them to be working without any vacation break, any time off. So we will let you know as soon as we know we will send an updated calendar to you if there are changes to it.
And then what about, since this is a pod structure, like what if we want to take an extended Christmas break, say start earlier or something along those lines? How do we handle that as community?
You can certainly do that. You just let us know when you're going to be out so we know that you're taking some vacation time. But you can certainly take time off.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The kids that are in the 9 to 2 pod, will they be napping or are half of them nappers, or how does that work? This is Joey's mom, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No, the 9 to 2 pod will not be napping. We have one room for the nappers, and those are the kids who are going to be here for the full day. So they will have a rest time during that 9 to 2 schedule. So they will have a half an hour where they're having downtime, but they will not be napping while they're at preschool.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question, but I already got one, so I can wait.
You can have more than one question.
Over the summer, I think I remember reading that you had some limitations on vacationing. This is, I think, similar to someone else's question. Are you putting any actual limitations on travel outside of Marin County, or how are you handling
it? Depends on how you're traveling. If you are going to be traveling by air, we are going to be asking the health department for guidance. I mean, it depends on where you're traveling to, and it's hard to accept someone back after they've been on an airplane unless they're willing to quarantine for a while.
And is there any kind of similar lead up to the fall program? Are we asking families not to travel the 2 weeks leading up to the start of school?
Yes. I mean, you can travel. It's airplanes that we're concerned about. Lots of families have taken road trips and stuck to themselves so that they're getting a break, but they're not on airplanes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question, Kathy. I think you covered it, but I missed it, about resting blankets, kids that are not nappers, but resters, I guess. Did you say that the school provides that, or are we required to provide that?
We actually have blankets that the kids rest on here. We will send them home to be laundered every week, but while they're here, we have the resting blankets for them.
Okay, and then is that their dedicated blanket for the week? Okay.
Yep.
And then if I could ask
for the year,
for the
that's
year,
a dedicated blanket for the year.
Okay, and then one other quick question I had was in regards to ventilation in the classrooms, and how, is there a plan for how you might kind of get as much fresh air into the classrooms as possible?
Yeah.
Most of our classrooms are very well ventilated with windows that open either on the top. In our upstairs classrooms, there are some windows up above, but then there's also crank windows that we can stop at a safe mode and have open. But 201 and 202 this summer had air conditioning units also installed in it if we were to get really hot days, but they were not used this summer because one, it was not that hot, and two, the teachers wanted ventilation. Duncan Hall has lots of windows. Science room, tons of windows. The art area, I mean, it's one of the things we're really gifted with. High ceilings and lots of windows. Okay. And fans. A lot of the teachers were using fans too.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Mark Berner here, Bronson's dad.
Hi, Mark.
Hey guys, just wondering if unfortunately there were a positive COVID test result, would we be notified if that were outside of our children's pod?
No. We're following the guidelines that Marin County Public Health Department has given to us, and that is in your protocol document as well. It shows us the 4 different scenarios and who is notified. If there's been an exposure to somebody who works with all of the kids, say Elizabeth who brings kids in, or me who takes the kids out at the end of the day, then yes, we will let you know. But if
You'll
it's
probably be letting me know by being close.
but if it's not within your pod, we're not going to share that information.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Does anyone have any more questions?
I have a shameless plug. If there are any parents out there with a second grader and someone at SAPS, please reach out to me. I'm Stacy Woods. I'm Emily's mom. I'd love to hear from you.
I am.
Let's do it, people. It's going to be a great year.
Same incoming kindergartners, just putting that there. Hi.
House with a little baby. We have an 8-month-old and an amazing nanny. Let me know.
Oh, I see what you're looking for, Stacy. Because
Yeah.
I'll be part of a pod.
Possibly there are lots of parents, finding, I work full time and so does my husband. And so finding the appropriate pods for our kids with other families who may or may not be concerned that we're sending other siblings actually to schools with other kids can be an area of concern for people. So we just want to be mindful of that and possibly present an opportunity to, doesn't matter what school you're in, we're all in this boat together this year. So if you've got a second grader out there, I'd love to hear from you.
Okay.
By the way, I did want to just remind everyone in the Marin County Health and Human Services page that it is not encouraged, but something that they want everyone to follow. Do not send your children to other programs. So once you choose a program, you don't then do karate or on, in person or some other program. Maybe your child only comes till 2 and then you find another program. That's not something that we can do at this time. I do want to do a little plug. One of our teachers has a 4th grade student and is looking for a 4th or 5th grade pod. So if you know anybody who has an opening in a pod for a 4th or 5th grade Wade Thomas student.
Is it, side question, since we're talking about outside secondary activities, is there an anticipation that we'll be able to bring back gymnastics or animal power?
We sure hope so at some point.
Okay.
One day when things are semi-normal again.
Totally.
Is it the same rule with the shoes, right? No shoes on as the summer?
Right. Unless you would like to leave a pair of slippers here for your child. If you want to, you can leave a pair of slippers here for your child.
Okay.
The kids will take their shoes off outside the classroom and they will be wearing socks on their feet inside the classroom. So there's no shoes on in the classrooms. So make sure you have socks. We appreciate the time that all of you are taking out of your day to be here and ask questions and learn a little bit more. We will work on getting that video to you so you can see the other teachers and see their faces. If you have questions, do not hesitate to email either myself or Elizabeth. We're more than happy to keep taking questions as they come up for you. And if there aren't any more questions, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks,
Thank
Lee.
you.
So much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Elizabeth. You didn't just sign on, did you?
She was here.
Oh, okay.
You're muted.
You're muted. Can't hear you.
You're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There you go. There you go.
There.
You're muted. We couldn't hear you.
Oh, am I the only one on now?
Yeah.
That was cute. That was quick. I just had a quick question. So I just saw the list for there's 2 classes, 9 to 2, and one's pre-K and then one's just not pre-K. Or I wasn't quite sure if there's any difference or how that works.
7:30 to 6.
5:30.
7:30 to 5:30. And he's in a pod of 9 to 2, very mixed age group.
He's in a pod from 9 to 2, and that's a very mixed age group. So he'll have all different ages, and there are older boys in that pod.
Okay, so you think that's a good place for him? He'll grow. He'll be challenged.
Awesome teacher. That's where our head teacher is this year.
Okay, that's great to know. Super. That's great. And then I know Avery's teacher, Jeanette Molyneux, she said she would, if it made sense, she'd love to just have a phone call with whoever Avery's teacher is to just kind of, all get on the same page. And she's been with him for 1.5 years. So
I'm sure Terry would love that.
Okay, cool. All right, that was it.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth.
Oh, wait, I did have one other question.
Go ahead.
James, his brother, has to be at his school at 8:45 over in Terra Linda and San Rafael. So I'm just trying to figure out if it could make sense. Can I either I'd have to drop Avery off either earlier than 8:45, or I could drop him off later and kind of do a full loop. But I got to get James at his school at 8:45 because he needs so much help. I got to make sure he gets there on time.
I think the best case scenario here is to drop off James and then come back with Avery and just call us when you're here, and we would have you come down through the courtyard, and we would take his temperature there and do the health screen and then send him to Terry's pod.
Okay, that's great to know.
She won't even be in her pod by that point, so we wouldn't have a teacher.
Okay, and I will talk to James's teacher too, and maybe I can wiggle dropping him off like 5 minutes early and then just make that loop back. I'll figure it out, but I wanted to let you know that and just figure out what would make sense.
Well, we do have the 9:10 window up till 9:10, and then if you're here after that, you just call us when you get here.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, we'll just do a big test run that first week and see how it all goes.
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll have a lovely
Thank
little
you.
break. I hope you aren't in the office the whole time.
No.
Good. All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, that was good. Those were good questions.